David was very boisterous, and when I say boisterous, what I mean by that is he was bouncy and full of energy.
We used to play together a lot as children, and he was the most fun. He'd always come up with brilliant games, and he'd make a part for me in each one of these games.
I guess an old fun memory of David would be when we went skiing and when he read a story to us at night.
He was very diligent at school, he worked hard, he did have friends, and I wasn't particularly worried about him, no.
So got loads of A's and A stars, revised a lot, very focused. And you went to university and had a bit of a party time, but then a lot of the rest of it seemed to be quite worrying and anxiety causing for him, and he was depressed and couldn't work and was acting a bit strangely with people around him.
And then to suddenly lose control of your mind, which is you, your mind is you. It's definitely changed him, yeah.
But I think quite a lot of schizophrenia does develop in young people, sort of late teens, early 20s. So it could have been that he developed it, whatever happened. But there are things that could have caused it or aided it. I guess Nathaniel's death, so the death of one of his really good friends.
He was very quiet and withdrawn. He didn't let his emotion out, and then we sent him. Well, he went to university very quickly after that, within a couple of weeks.
His first psychotic experience to us was, I guess, the bombshell, scary one, because this was when he had gone back to Africa to see his first lover, and he didn't find things as he had hoped they were going to be. He found out that he'd been very largely financially scammed.
So David has been in, I think it was a Ghanaian prison, where I think he was beaten. It's always, it's a bit hard to tell. He ran away with a man in, can't remember where else, who ended up basically threatening him with a knife.
To me, it's a bit like our dreams. And so in our dream state, we have ridiculous scenarios turning up, and just imagine that when you're awake. And so I think that's what some of psychosis is. It's like confused brain dream states being your reality.
The first time when I became very concerned was when I probably told my younger son that he could speak in snake tongue. I mean, obviously there's Harry Potter, but it was concerning. So that was the first time where I thought, this is more than depression, this is more than suicidal thoughts. There's something a little bit more strange here.
So there was one time before he was diagnosed where I got back home from school, I think, and he was upstairs in his room and all the lights were out, and I think I went up to get him for dinner, and he was sleeping on a wooden board at the time. He'd hidden it underneath a sheet, so it looked like he was sleeping on a mattress on his bed, but when I sat on the bed it was a wooden board. He also was not eating properly, so he was very skinny at the time, very skinny. I think he was punishing himself perhaps. And he began screaming at the wall, prophesying, because he believed that he was the snake from the Garden of Eden. And I just sat with him and held him as he screamed, and it was you could see it was so real for him that he was the snake. I definitely think it's real, and that he sees what he thinks, and that he is who he thinks.
When he is not very well, he sees the link to things that aren't there. So he was very focused for a while on researching the Deep Dean diamond conspiracy, that there was some sort of diamond buried at Deep Dean train station, and all the rail networks flowed through there, and everything in his mind seemed to link up to support this. So he's still very focused, but then he gets focused on things that aren't real.
He was brought up in a very straight Christian upbringing, and he was gay, and obviously that has caused a lot of trauma to him because he was trying to pretend to be something that he wasn't.
Where you've got people who, friends who are saying, oh, we'll pray for him, as if he's suddenly going to not be gay, coming out to that type of community where it's wrong and it's a sin. Obviously, if you've been holding that in for a long time, and then there's a lot of stress, and then you've got to come out with it.
David said to me, I prayed for 5 years that I'll be normal. And that broke my heart. That he was struggling so much with that.
My opinion on clozapine is I think there's not really much other option. I see David on clozapine and it makes me sad because he sleeps loads, he is put on weight with it, it's got horrible side effects, like side effects that you wouldn't even associate with a normal medical drug. But I see David not on medication when he's in a psychosis, and he is a danger to himself. He's put himself in more bad situations than anybody would ever experience in their life, and he's been there many times.
My view on clozapine is that it shouldn't even be given to a dog. Nobody should take clozapine. I'm sure that there are other drugs that can be used to sedate people while they're in psychosis. I just do not know why clozapine is allowed. I'm sure it's a lot more dangerous than cannabis. It's the American Food and Drug Agency put it up as the 5th most dangerous drug that you can be prescribed. I just despair of why it's prescribed to anyone.
My opinion on drugs that are prescribed by trained medical professionals is that they are prescribed for a reason. The trained medical professionals think that the drugs are going to help, which is why they prescribe them. David's been on a variety of different drugs, and some of them have got side effects like diarrhoea, which means you can't go around and he can't function his normal life because he's got to keep going to the toilet all the time. He's losing weight, so it's obviously no good. Another drug, it didn't work. He could still had the intrusive thoughts. So clozapine, from what I've read, is a drug that they use when other drugs don't work, when other antipsychotic drugs don't work. And it is an old drug, but if it works, then there's no problem in continuing to use it.
What I would prefer to see is the opportunity to live through a psychosis in a safe environment where you're looked after and cared for without having to recourse to brain dampening, suppressing chemicals. Because the side effects and the implications of clozapine and other antipsychotics is they do things to your heart rate, they do things to your liver, they do things to your other internal organs. They are nasty chemicals which change your body.
I find it hard because I think within the family we've all got different opinions about how David should be looked after or treated with his condition, and I see that creating rifts within family members which it shouldn't be doing. We should all be working together for whatever David wants and for whatever outcome he wants.